Okay, we've already unplugged the coil. Just real quick latch, that comes right up.
Be careful not to nick and pull that fuel injector wire. Those have been in there for some time.
Why is that one wet?
I don't know.
Might be doing.
There's nothing in the cylinder. It's clean. This side is clean. That's weird. That side was dirty.
Well, yeah, these are supposed to be directed ahead. They don't go through the valve cover gasket. Got a little moisture there. That could be because it's cold, or it got water in there at one time, maybe. That's what'll happen with these boots. You'll start losing. They'll lose their tension, and then it won't take much to get liquid in there. Back and forth.
There you go. It's the same. I'm liking what I see. So
Yeah, it's burning clean.
I mean, all of them are the same so far. A little bit of heat soak, but it's pretty normal.
Yeah, no, these get some miles on them. This gets worse. That might be why they're wanting you to change the plugs.
So I also read a weird thing on the internet. Of course, it's on the internet.
It's always on the internet.
So that these Ford PCMs in this 2008 to 2012 have this weird thing where they get locked out internally. The PCM literally locks itself out of itself. And the only way to fix it is by doing a reflash. If you're lucky.
You gonna goop that, sir?
Oh yeah, that's right here. Let me see the goop. I don't know. I mean, what do you... myth or...
I don't know. When I was reading up on this problem and first called me on it, I looked up a bunch of things, and half of them said PCM, other half said possibly key problems, so the fob didn't agree with the APM.
Yeah, but those keys look good.
And then the first time it did it to me, which I didn't think too much of it at the time when we bought it, it did that same exact thing, key flashed. I thought, okay, we got one bad key, I took it out, I put the other key in, fired right off. So, we tried both keys. And the flash of 16 never stopped. So.
New coil?
I mean, I hate to say it, this is kind of like one of those 50-50 things where it might work, and hopefully it does.
Yeah, my wife would love to have her car back. Kind of pissed at me that I spent our money and
Well,
it doesn't run.
as far as everything, we did our homework. Like, you know, it's not. And I don't care what you buy nowadays. They all have weird issues, security lock protocols. Thank you, thieves. I mean, honestly, if someone were to ask me today what to buy, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell
It's all
you.
crap.
Yeah.
You know, it's pick your poison, really. You don't have to go back to medieval days. You know, how do you want to die, or what do you want to put your money into? You think you're gonna, you know, get off the hook with imports? They got their problems too.
That's very true.
Hyundai has their, you know, oil bearing consumption problem. A lot of these newer engines burn a lot of oil. These people are losing them because they can't quantum, you know, having to put oil in something new and burn up the engine in 5,000 miles and do the math. 1 quart per 1,000 driven, you're out of oil. You know, most people report that these things are pretty reliable except for, you know, timing chains and this oddball electrical issue.
I cannot find that 7. Oh, here it is. I was like, I can't find the 7mm socket that I had.
The one thing I can guarantee, all cars break down.
Literally.
That's what I can guarantee you. The one thing nice about Ford versus everybody else is I can do almost every dealer thing with ForeScan. You can't do that with GM. You can't do that with Dodge.
That one came out super easy.
Well, moisture too.
That's odd.
Oh, look at this one though. That is interesting.
What?
Do you see the white on there?
Yeah.
Is that corrosion or someone? Nope, that's Molly. That is corrosion, anti-corrosion on there. Someone got a little crazy with it on this side. Now am I keeping these apart? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I'm just putting them back in. I suppose if you had a bad coil concern, you could swap one of these older ones in, but with that warning from the PCM rebuilder, there's a known issue with these coils. I don't know. I think I'd put it in there, verify bad coil, and then I'd just order another one. Test coils, I wouldn't keep them in there.
Where's that phaser sit? Right there.
Favorite.
Didn't seem like it'd be too hard to do a valve cover on this either.
No.
That is jamming me up, but I don't want to take it off. I guess it came off.
Yep, the 5.4 and the 6.2, those don't come off too bad as long as you know how to use their clips.
That one's kind of pink and discolored. Other than that, it's
Oh,
all.
yeah, you got some rust on that one.
Yeah.
So what's the problem with rust, people? Resistance. And if resistance is what's killing these computers, then they got a valid point. That one definitely had some moisture problems. Ironically, that one's the one with a lot of goop on it. Not getting crazy with the anti-seize, but just enough.
That's not a lot.
No, I know. I'm saying you're actually using anti-seize the way it should be used. Proud of you. Finally getting some wisdom in your old age.
I'm trying.
When you first started doing this, dude, you got so much on one plug, I could probably do 8.
Probably 16. That was also 10 years ago, too.
Yeah.
I'm just going to torque these by hand because I know what it feels like now.
Yep.
Coil.
Coil, man, says coil on our bucket of parts.
It's actually easier to do plugs on this side than it is that side.
Oh yeah, you don't have the heater core stuff in your way.
They're going to call us out because I'm not putting any goop on these.
Well, you know, I'm going to speak to that right now. The one plug that came out rusty had a heck of a lot of that goop on it. I don't know if on this one I'd be using goop.
I'm not going to. I would on like a 90s, but
You know, if you're going to have to put in coils and plugs every 100,000 miles for $100, I wouldn't waste the time gooping it to rust the plug out. Then you get a potential misfire later. I don't know, I was thinking if you had a key mismatch problem, I still should be able to talk to the PCM.
well, yes and no. If it locks it out because it detects a theft problem, it would, in theory, it could. Because if you can talk to the PCM, then you could steal a car still. Get it?
Right. I mean, I see that point, but the APEM is what stores the anti-theft information. It just validates everything.
What did the
with
anti-theft
PCM.
device say? Could you read it?
Oh, yeah.
So if you could read it, and it wasn't saying anything,
So Ford has a code for a key mismatch.
which we didn't have that.
It's
So.
a key intrusion blah 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 something or another. You turn the key twice and it starts. I've seen it on other Fords, and I don't have the intrusion code. Didn't have the intrusion code. What I had was I had UO 100 / I think it was 28, and then UO 3000. But then that 3000 code states the APOM can't speak on the high speed side.
No, no moisture. So
no mud bogging for you. Kid hauler.
coil, or well, I guess not spark plug.
I'm gonna start this thing up with a big old hole in the misfire. That'd be cool. I was watching Dave's Automotive the other day, and he does something pretty interesting on clogged cats. Takes out 2 spark plugs and starts the engine.
Yeah, I saw that video.
And it works. Oh, that's pretty nifty. Don't run it for too long like that, but it'd work. Yeah, I've only got 2 plugs out on the floor.
I guess I didn't take it out. I thought I did. Same thing. I mean, this one looks a little more worn than the other ones, but this one has a lot of heat soaking around it. Must just be a hotter cylinder.
It happens. It's funny, every time on an old school 350 or like a 360, I always find like 2 or 3 plugs that look factory, and then I see some that are burnt. And then there was one. I mean, to me, I have a hard time believing that we lose the entire high-speed network because of a wiring issue.
That is kind of odd, especially when I drove for 2 hours here.
I mean, it did give me a problem starting down there, but I switched keys and it started, so I thought we just had a key problem.
Maybe like your Ford, I don't like the aftermarket keys, so.
Oh, my Ford? Yeah, so funny story with my 2015 F250. So I have 2 keys. I have the original Ford key, I have an aftermarket key, and when we did the starter in it, the red light just flashed. Really annoying. The horn wouldn't stop beeping. Like 45 minutes of messing with it. I unplugged the horn, just done messing with it. I thought, okay, we got a little bit of relearning to do because we put a new battery in it, whatever. So I drove it. After that, the light stopped doing the weird things it was doing, and the horn stopped beeping, but then the red light kept flashing. So then I grabbed my Ford key, turn the key, and then the red light goes off. So on the F250s, you don't have the blink code like you have, at least not on the dash that I have. But yeah, there is a true thing about these Fords. They do not like aftermarket keys.
No.
Now, you don't want to know, it's like $400 to get a factory key made from Ford, at least where we're at.
Well, you can get the factory key and then you can call a mobile guy and he'll come program it.
Yeah, you get factory blanks for $100. Some say you can use ForScan to do it, others say you can't. I don't know, I haven't played with ForScan that much. Also depends on the computer they use, because I noticed between Fords, they all have a little different way they read on ForScan. Yeah, the one code I had from this, it came up and said system internal error. So I'm thinking, okay, if you got a wiring problem and lose the high speed.
No moisture.
No, but the guy used a lot of goop.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, if you see a bad coil, you'll actually see like a white ashy sparking if you have a misfire code. No air pressure. Alright, it's going to get loud. I'm back with you.
They never leave their dogs out for this long either. It's kind of odd. It just takes a minute for that.
Before you get down there?
Yeah, I can feel it. These last two just feel really like rusty. know how to explain it. It was idling too long, that's why these spark plugs won't come out.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't idle them very long. You know, like Dave says, just get in and go, even if it's -5 out.
Sorry, I know we're small guys, but I've seen engines up here to Northwest make it to 400,000 miles, and
They have high idle time.
they have high idle time, so I don't know. I don't want to get dragged into this YouTube nonsense and fight with another YouTuber. I mean, they're good mechanics.
No problem. No problems with that.
I don't agree with it because like I've seen up here, like I've seen Dodge Dakotas that were gacked out, leaking coolant. They just kept fluids in it, idled it, and it still made it to 300,000 miles. So I mean,
there are some engines out there that I will tell you don't idle for very long.
oh, absolutely not.
This is one of them. Like, obviously, run it to get your defroster warmed up. My rule of thumb, if the heater's hot, go. You know, but don't let it run for 20 or 30 minutes. Now, I will say with the Ford oiling system, they really overpowered the oiling system on these. On my 6.2, when my chains went, took the valve cover off and started it thinking I was just going to be able to watch the valve train. Oh no. Dude, that thing shot oil 15 feet in the air. So, the biggest problem with the 5.4s is getting oil back. If you do not do routine maintenance, the return paths in the head get clogged up, so you pump all the oil up to the head, but you don't get it down, oil pressure drops, then you burn up the little cams. There's no bearings in them cams, they're just straight caps on the cast, so.
I don't know. I let my Hemi warm up. I changed the oil at 2,500 miles, and I still don't have a tick, and it's at 167, so. And my oil pressure's still great, so I don't know. It could be different environments, like Utah's
Kind of like our weather, hot summers, cold winters.
coil.
But he's probably got a nice garage that he can just pull out of like the rest of us poor slabs. Keep our cars parked outside.
Poor saints. Stuck outside, no garage.
There's no garage. Like, yeah, you're not starting a car and going. Even if you get out there with your little scraper and the car's warming up, you're still at 3 to 5 minutes idle time
Oh yeah.
for cold start.
A lot of our women up here are bigger too, so they don't move as fast.
No.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure he sees, they do engine rebuilds, and I'm sure they have the evidence to support that, you know, idling it too long is not good.
Now the new diesels with all the DEF and SCRs, now that makes sense. You know, diesels don't produce heat, you know, for the most part till they're under load, right? So you're putting basically wet fuel into the catch cans, we'll call them that, just to simplify it. They get clogged up, and then you got a bunch of regen, then it gets really hot, and then you're in this constant loop. Start clogging your EGR up because you're just constantly rebreathing wet stuff, and that one makes sense to me. Gasoline engines don't have that problem. Now, here's a kicker. 2025 California mandate. Guess what's going to have catch cans on them now? Gasoline engines. So I don't think you're going to quite get to SCR yet. But you're going to start having that problem with catch cans and gasoline. Now, if Trump in office may change that, who knows?
Okay, we're good. We can put the intake boot back on and stick this computer in there and see what we got.
Okay. Well, not really much to report. Barking dogs, it's really cold out, and the warranty manufacturer on the computer says no warranty unless you do this step. So that's why we're doing this step. Did it need it? No. But we're not voiding out a how much was that computer? $400?
Something like that.
Yeah, we're not going to void out a warranty because we're going to argue with them that they don't know what they're talking about when they do this every day of the week. That's just it.